Hello once again, and welcome to my channel. We are continuing reading some newspaper articles from the 1800s mostly. This first one is called The Petrified Forest near Cairo in Egypt. In the year 1826, returning from Suez, passing by Engobi and the Gandasi Springs, and finding myself beyond the defiles, I directed my course towards the citadel of Cairo, not following any road, being sufficiently acquainted with this part of the desert to travel in this manner. Towards evening, finding myself about 3 leagues from Cairo, I halted to pass the night there, intending to enter the city in the morning, as darkness was coming on, which prevented me from distinguishing objects. As it was cold, my Arabs and myself collected wood and dried plants to light a fire and make coffee. I perceived upon the ground a long black object upon the white sand. It was a tree thrown upon the ground, apparently dead and decayed. The illusion was so perfect that before I touched it, I called my Arabs to come and take the wood, but when I felt it, I found that it was stone. As I walked around, I saw many more like it. The night being very dark, I deferred the examination of these stones, which bore so close a resemblance to trunks of trees. In the morning, I ascertained that these were really trunks of trees, but petrified. Several of them which I measured were 80 feet in length. The desert was covered with these petrifications as far as the eye could reach, and it was not until 1827 that I returned to this place. Since then I have often visited it, and have taken many travelers, among others, Lord Prudhoe and Mons le Lorraine, Consul General of Austria in Egypt. It is now visited by parties of pleasure. I have brought home a large number of these petrifications, and have sent a collection of them to the museum. The Petrified Forest lies about 2 leagues and a half to the east of Cairo, and extends to the east more than a league, and covers partially a square league. It is between the road to Suez, leading from the Sultan Barco and leaving the Red Mountain on the left, and the road which leads from the village of Bakatin to the south of Cairo and goes to Suez by Adi Taye, a road which is named from the Terahin. Its position is probably the cause why it was never discovered, even in the time of the French army, when one could not, as now, travel through the desert without roads and guides. So, besides the U.S. having petrified forests in California and Arizona and other places, there's a big one near Cairo. And since they are mentioning Suez, maybe that's why they built the Suez Canal and flooded it, but who knows? Okay, the second one's called Ancient Relics, and this is from 1840 something. A letter from Constantinople states that at the end of April, a number of articles in gold and silver were discovered not far below the surface of the ground at the town of Lepsek, the ancient Lampsacus in Asia Minor. Amongst these objects, which are supposed to have been employed in the worship of Diana, are 40 silver spoons with square handles and much larger than those used in modern days. I wonder why. A female bust terminates each handle, and the word Artemis, one of the names of Diana, is perceivable on several of them. Each weighs about 750 grams. A round salver in silver, nearly 4 feet in diameter, weighing 37 kilograms, 540 grams, having the figure of a woman engraved on it with a fox, a peacock, and a parrot near her, and 2 lions at her feet, with a child riding on each. A large silver dish with 6 angles, having on it 2 female heads engraved. A silver rod upwards of 6 feet long, composed of 4 pieces soldered together. 4 large silver goblets with massive handles. a large silver cylindrical vase upwards of 3 feet high, on 3 feet adorned with arabesques, a silver flambeau 3 feet high, a necklace in gold of fine workmanship weighing 450 grams. In it were set 40 large pearls, but they crumbled to dust on being touched. The Turkish government has sent agents to have the surrounding ground excavated. So, giant remains, bigger than normal, gorgeous engravings, decorated wonderfully. Can you say ancient civilizations? Okay, this one's from 1860 something. A petrified heart. Yesterday, as Henry St. Paul was at the office of Mr. E. H. Caldwell, one of the intelligent and enterprising proprietors of the mobile gas works, he was shown by that gentleman several specimens of petrifications or fossil remains dug out on the ground of the gas works, where excavations are now going on for the purpose of building a new gas holder. Amongst those fossil remains was one to which Mr. Caldwell called his special attention, and which he stated was in his opinion a petrified root of some bulbous plant, and had been excavated at a depth of over 16 feet. Mr. St. Paul at once, however, pronounced it not vegetable fossil remains, but a heart, and a human heart, as complete as the knife of the most skilful surgeon could have extracted. This curious specimen was at once taken to our talented friend Dr. Gilmore, who, after a careful investigation, agreed with the discoverer that it was a heart, bearing all appearances of being that of a human being, although it might be that of some quadruped, such, for instance, as a deer. This precious relic of past ages is now in Dr. Gilmore's possession, and will soon be submitted to a scientific inquiry by our medical society, probably in cahoots with the Smithsonian. This petrification is admirably well preserved. The auricles are perfectly visible. The vacuum of the aorta can easily be probed, and sinuosities of the blood vessels are perfectly discernible. Okay, so we got a possible petrified human heart. And now we have this one from 1874, Ancient Ruins in Arizona. A letter to the St. Louis Republican gives the following interesting account of some ruins recently discovered in Arizona. A careful examination of some extensive ruins found some miles east of Florence on the Gila River has been made. Lieutenant Ward was the first explorer who came upon the desolate remains of a once imposing architectural pile. It has been deserted perhaps for more than 1,000 years, and has been crumbling away in the wilderness. The Apache even never pitched his tent upon the spot, so thickly strewn with fragments of the work of a perished race. The principal ruin is a parallelogram fortification, 600 feet in width by 600 feet in length. The walls, which were built of stone, have long been overthrown and are overgrown by trees and vines. In many places, a mere ridge indicates the line of the wall, the stones having disappeared beneath the surface. That reminds me of the Texas wall. Oh, let me get back to my spot. Okay, within the enclosed area are the remains of a greater structure, 200 feet by 260 feet, constructed of roughly hewn stones. In some places, the walls remain almost perfect, to a height of some 12 feet above the surface. On the east side of the Grande Casa, there are two openings of an oval shape, which doubtless serve the purpose of windows. On the inner sides of the wall of the palace, for such it doubtless was, there are yet perfectly distinct tracings of the image of the sun. There are 2 towers at the southeast and southwest corners of the great enclosures, still standing, one of which is 26 and the other 31 feet high. These have evidently been much higher, as the broken tops and amount of debris near their base indicate. A few copper implements, some small golden ornaments, one being an image of the sun with a perforation in the middle, and some stone utensils and 2 rudely carved stone vases, much like those found at Zupatero and Copan in Central America, are all the works of art yet discovered. No excavations have been made as yet to determine fully the extent and character of these ruins. The ruins are situated in a small plain, elevated nearly 200 feet above the bed of the Gila. Just west of the walls of the fortification, there is a beautiful stream of water, having its source by the mountains, which crosses the plain, and by a series of cataracts falls into the Gila about 2 miles below. The fragments of pottery and polished stone reveal a condition of civilization among the builders of these ruins, analogies to that of the ancient Peruvian, Central American, and Mexican nations. The country in the vicinity of this Berea Palace is particularly wild and unusually desolate. No clue to the builders of this great fortified palace with its towers and moat has been or is likely ever to be discovered. One thing, however, is apparent, that this whole country was once peopled by a race having a higher grade of civilization than is found among any of the native tribes of the later ages. But whether this race were the ancestors of the Pimos, or some extant people, is not and cannot certainly be known. The ruins on the Gila are another undiscovered Palenque, another Copan, an Atlan exposed at last to bewilder and confound. It is understood that these extensive ruins will be thoroughly explored within the present year. And that's all I have for this one today. Obviously, there were giant civilizations, technologically advanced, with beautiful pottery and gorgeous palaces everywhere around the world. And a lot of these have been lost to time, but we're going to bring them back and make sure that all of these stories are not lost. And with that, I thank you, and I hope you have a great day. If you could like and subscribe the channel, that would I would greatly appreciate it. It would help me out a lot as I'm just getting started. And I hope you look forward to more of these in the future.